Good morning, everyone. Welcome. So, oh, that's loud. Maybe we can turn it down a little bit. It's a bit of a boom and an echo. Hello, welcome. I'm Councillor Kieran Williams, Leader of the Council. Welcome to today's meeting of Southwark's Cabinet. And today we are meeting on the Kingswood Estate in Kingswood House. I want to welcome everyone here to what is a really important part of our borough. And I'm delighted that Cabinet is, again, out and about, meeting in different bits of the borough. This is a building that we've worked hard to make sure it's available for use for the wider community and for arts and cultural activities, and so I'm delighted that we've had that partnership. It's also an estate here on the Kingswood that we're currently investing in the homes, bringing them up to a higher standard, addressing historic issues with damp and making them much better homes for our residents. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the tenants and leaseholders who've worked hard with us to make sure we get the scope of those works on the estate right. I'm going to start by asking the rest of the Cabinet to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Natasha, who's sitting all on her own at this side. Natasha.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Natasha Ennen, and I'm Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Neighbourhoods.
I will come back to Portia in a moment. Evelyn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Evelyn Okoto. I'm the Cabinet Member for Health and Wellbeing.
Morning, everyone. Councillor John Batson, the Cabinet Member for Climate Emergency, Jobs and Business.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Helen Dennis. I'm the Cabinet Member for New Homes and Sustainable Development.
Morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Stephanie Cryan. I'm Cabinet Member for Equalities, Democracy and Finance.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Portia Mwanganje. I'm the Cabinet Member for Leisure, Parks and Young People, and apologies for lateness.
And we will shortly be having Councillor James McCash and Jasmine Ali joining us, and we have apologies this morning from Councillor Sarah King. I'll also ask officers at the front to introduce themselves, starting with Doreen.
Good morning, everyone. Doreen Forrester-Brown, Assistant Chief Executive Governance and Assurance and the Council's Monitoring Officer.
Good morning, everyone. Alfia Loderick, the Council's Chief Executive.
Good morning, I'm Paula Thornton, Constitutional Team. Just a reminder, especially for anyone who's coming up to the table to speak, for the microphones, you press the green button to make it come on. Speak as close as you can to the microphone, and then when you've finished, press the green button to turn it off. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I also just remind people, if you've got a phone with you, then please turn it to silent. I've just done mine. If you do want to take a call, then please do step outside to do that so we can carry on with the meeting. We do always allow filming of council meetings, all our meetings that happen in public, but I would always ask you to be respectful of members of the audience who may not want to be part of the filming. We have already done apologies for this meeting, but do we have any notifications of urgent items? I don't think we do for this one, do we?
None, Chair.
No. However, we do have some items that we will take in closed session at the end of the meeting. As I always explain, all councils have a facility taking some items in closed session where that decision involves confidential information. For example, the amount of money we're willing to pay for a piece of land or to pay to an individual contractor, and that's just to make sure that we can get the best value for money for our residents in the borough by not disclosing what we're willing to pay before we enter into negotiations with people on our community's behalf. And there are another set of issues that we can do that for set out in law. And in this item, on this agenda, we have 5 items that we'll be taking closed business. We will have discussions on all of those items but in public, but the final decisions will be made in the closed session. Do any Cabinet members have any disclosures of interest or dispensations that they need to make at this meeting? Yes? Evelyn.
Just one for the petitions. I'm a leaseholder, so I'll step out of the meeting.
Okay.
For the same item, I am a social tenant.
Okay. I don't think that'll apply to you, though, Natasha, because it is specifically about leaseholders, the petition, rather than tenants. I think that's... Is that fair, Doreen? Okay, no, the advice is that you do step out, that's fine. Okay. I shall give you a moment, but Jasmine, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, apologies for lateness. Hello everyone, I'm Councillor Jasmine Ali, Deputy Leader and Cabinet Lead for Children, Education and Refugees. Great to be here in this splendour.
Yeah. So we have standard slots for public questions and deputations, but we have received neither today, but we have received a petition. So I'd like to invite Gary Blackwood up to present the petition on behalf of leaseholders in Southwark. Gary. And as I say, if you want to come forward, take a seat. When you're ready, use the green button there, and inner as well. You have 5 minutes to, well, first of all, introduce yourselves, so those who are watching know who you are, and then you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation to us, and then we will take questions. Oh, I'm not sure if the microphone turned on then.
Oh, there, it's on now. Dear Cabinet, good morning. My name is Gary Blackwood. I'm a Suffolk leaseholder. I'm here to present the petition.
And Ina, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
I'm Ina, leaseholder as well.
Right. The reason why I started this petition is because it seemed ludicrous to me that we have to make a request to see what we're paying for. Everywhere else, when you pay or buy something, you get a full detailed receipt and you can see what you paid for. So why don't we for our service charges? In the handouts I've given out, I've got the merged invoice, and you can see there that last year my blocks responsive repairs were over the estimated value by over £1,000, and I had no idea why. So we need these. We can get a full detailed breakdown. We have to request and we have to wait for them to come down. But ideally, we want these to arrive at the same time as the actual, so we know what's going on. So even if the actuals and the estimate are the same, we still want to know what we're paying for, okay? So currently, trust in Southwark Council is at an all-time low, I would say. So transparency is very important, and this is a great opportunity for the council to show it has transparency and re-establish trust. We can see the number of requests for full detailed service charges has been increasing year after year, and it really makes sense to have it online with your My Suffolk portal. It's a great tool to have, yeah? And it also reduces the amount of administration the council has to deal with when people individually request these. So this is a great benefit to both leaseholders and Southwark Council. All right. So I see from the paper provided, the council are going to produce what you call itemised billing, which will be available online via the My Suffolk portal. I'd just like to clarify, the petition is for full detailed billing, and an example shown in the handout, the same as what we get now when we ask for full detail. That's what we expect to see. I hope that it will be ready this year as per the timelines. Yeah. So also, I'd like to say there's no reason why another format, a CSV format, cannot be produced so we can load into the spreadsheet and check ourselves as well as the traditional PDF. So I believe at the moment the service charges are constructed manually by multiple officers in the council using spreadsheets and an access database, which according to the paper is unsupported. And now the council has invested heavily in Power BI, and many people are trained, so I'm surprised. It should be very easy to move over to Power BI, because it's basically the same technology. I myself am a technology consultant, and I do this thing daily, slightly bigger databases, but so it's really a really good opportunity for the council. And it should be able to, I can see no problem why you can't get it done in time for this year's actuals, and I look forward to that. So we just want commitment that we will get the full detailed actuals online when they come out in October 2025 this year, as per the example given that we get now when we make an request. Thank you. I'll move over to Ina.
Hello everyone. We are looking for a positive resolution for Southwark and also for everyone in the borough, because this petition is not only about the leaseholders. This petition has much wider implication at the borough level. In the last two years, we know everyone that Southwark didn't cover itself in glory, and the auditors and also the regulators, they identified there are significant weaknesses in LBS procedures. This would be an amazing opportunity for SADC to demonstrate that actually there is a commitment, even though those failures have been manifested so far. And we understand and we appreciate the fact that SADC has limited resources. It's not something we argue. We know that every borough have limited resources. And we are a resource. And this resource SADC does not use to the maximum potential. We know the buildings better than everyone else. We could follow the contractors better than everyone else. We could provide information better than everyone else. And together with the commitment of transparency, but also value for money, the biggest resource you have in SADC is us, the residents, and you don't use it. So this petition, if it's going to be implemented, which is not very clear from the paper Luis submitted, because it is used a word interchangeable, which is itemized, which means something, but also is used details, which is in the petition, which means full details. So we would like this clarification in the end. So going back to the resources, we are the resource you could use. So it's not only about the leaseholders and how much we are paying, because the tenants pay the rest of 70%. It's more about having the community involved in executing the works, both the major works and also the service charges. And you could use it in demonstrating SADC commitment. I'm not going to add anything else because we have the paper, so maybe we could discuss the paper or we have other questions. But the way we see the leaseholders, the petition, we have over 500 signatures, but actually there are much more, is we offer our help to support you in delivering your pledges, SADC pledges. So I'm going to finish and we are open to questions.
Well, look, thank you very much. You set out the case for doing this extremely clearly and positively. And you asked about the kind of ambiguities in the response, so let me respond in a way that I hope will be very clear for you. So in principle, we absolutely want to get to this place that you have asked for. I think it's the right thing to do, that you automatically as a leaseholder receive a detailed breakdown every time you receive a bill, so you can look at exactly what it is, see if they're the things that you think need to happen in your block, do all the things that you described there of coming back and challenging where you think the wrong work is being charged or something is not needed, etc. Really importantly. The practical challenge that we face, as many big organisations did, is just making that change based on the technology we have in place now. I don't know all the details, you're probably better equipped than me on some of them, but we are moving to a new system that allows us to do this much better, but we have a whole set of systems that we need to move across that have different parts of the billing built into them. So having had long conversations with the team, we've got our Director of Housing here with us, they are confident that they can give leaseholders something in the autumn when the next round of bills come out that is more detailed, but probably not the full detailed billing at that point. We just don't think we'd be able to get there at that point. Although people can obviously individually request that whenever they want to, and I'll come back to why there's a difference between those two things. Alongside that, we want to put in place some much more practical help for leaseholders who want to ask questions about their bill. So we're going to be offering both face-to-face and online appointments to go through all your questions about your bill that are automatically available for you to book when your bill comes out to you. So we think that will be a step change for leaseholders, but it is only a stepping stone, I fully recognise, to do the thing you want to do. And we want to move as quickly as we can to do that. I can't put an exact timeline on that today because the team is still working through exactly what we need to do to be able to get there. You will obviously ask the question, well, if we can provide a detailed bill when someone requests it, why can't we just do it for everyone? And that is purely the volume of bills that we issue to every leaseholder for every for your annual service charges for every major works. Some, not every, but some elements of those currently involve an officer doing some detailed work to populate that information. And if we were to suddenly ask the organisation to do that for every bill we were sending out to every leaseholder, we simply wouldn't have the people to do it. We'd have to recruit a large number more people, and obviously that would be a cost to leaseholders and tenants and others who to do that piece of work. So that we can't do that in the short term. However, I just want to finish by saying we will make an absolute step change this autumn, both in terms of the level of detail you get automatically, more, but not full, The opportunity to immediately book in to have an appointment with an officer to talk through questions you've got about your bill, whether you want to do that online or face-to-face, and then we will do the work and come back to you in an open, transparent way with leaseholders to set out, this is the realistic timetable as soon as we can understand one, and come back to you in the coming months, in a short number of months, about when we can move to full information being available for you. Sorry, the one other thing I should add to that is there is a technical issue that we have to make sure we get right here, which is that some of the information contained in bills is confidential to that individual resident. So in the solution, we've got to be able to make sure we're not exposing information about energy uses and other things by individual leaseholders. So we can't just provide exactly the same thing to everyone in a block, because lots of it we can, but there'll be some elements within there that are in their nature confidential, and we need to therefore have a system that's robust to do that. That's not a barrier to doing it in principle, it's just a practical, technical barrier that we need to overcome. So I will pause there. Most importantly, I want to say thank you very much for bringing this proposal. Everything you've set out, we agree with in principle. We want to get to where we are, where you are asking us to get to, and I hope the two-staged approach to it that is trying to do as much as we can, as quickly as we can, so when the next round of bills comes out, leaseholders get much more information and much more ability to inquire about them, followed by the work to do the bigger thing that you're asking for as quickly as it's possible to do, is something that will be a real step forward for leaseholders. I'm going to ask Cabinet members if they have any questions of you, and then of course if you want to come back to the question first.
I don't know if I could add to any of the urgency and the importance, not only for the leaseholders, but especially for Southwark. This is all the miscalculations on a single estate, all of them on a single estate. So this is a kind of solution what Southwark could implement and would come with a solution if it would be automatic online. And the confidentiality would not be an issue because it's done now anyway, so it's only a question of doing automatically because now they are provided anyway. And also it's going to save a lot of money from the officer's perspective, because now it would take up to 2 months, and we have situation because we get across statistics across the borough, and some of the leaseholders, they got the full detail in 3 months, meaning that there is a lot of energy put in Southwark, and this would help, and the computers could work overnight. So it's going to be a lot of benefit for Southwark, and I don't know if you want to add anything else from the technical perspective.
I just assumed that part of this would be removing the manual process of officers doing spreadsheets. The whole point of Power BI is scripting and workflow, and the computer will just automatically produce it. So all that long work that you have to do could be done immediately by the computer. So I don't quite understand. And also the access to the databases, the full information's there. If you're going to give a bit more, I can't see any reason why I know you said about confidentiality, but you should be able to do that. But I mean, you know better than me where your actual system is, so.
Well, your point about, in coming back to your first point, the points that all the things you said, this would allow us collectively, with your help, to make sure that we're getting the best value for the council. Totally understand and agree. All I'm setting out now is the practical work for the staff to transition from one to the other will take a bit of time. I'm not the person to give you expert answers on that. So one thing I suggest would be helpful following this meeting, if you would welcome it, is a separate meeting with some of the officers, and they can talk you through in more detail what the practical challenges are, what they're doing to overcome them, and we will, of course, as I said at the beginning, come back with a timeline for you. But being able to talk through what it is that we can do, what it is that's getting in the way of doing it immediately. And whilst I agree with you, on one level it would seem that you're moving to an IT system that we've invested in as a council would allow us to do these things with haste and overnight and without the same manual work that's needed. I also recognise that in practice at the moment that there is a whole job of work to get all of those systems onto one system that will work for anything. I'm just going to ask, Hakeem, is there anything that you would like to add as the director to the things we've said in response to the questions that have been asked?
No, not at this time, but the offer of a one-to-one meeting is a good offer.
So that, for anyone who's watching online, Hakeem is our housing director and is just agreeing to the offer of a meeting with officers to go through the detail of what we will do and how we will go about it. Helen.
Thank you very much for coming in and for your petition. It's actually a question for you, Kieran. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. For any leaseholders that still have questions about their current actuals, what is the process for raising those particular questions?
I am going to invite Hakeem forwards to answer that question because I will not give a detailed enough answer. So, so if you'd like to fully introduce yourself, Hakeem.
My name is Hakeem Oshinaki. I'm the Strategic Director of Housing. There is an established process, Councillor Dennis, for leaseholders wanting to query, contest, or ask for more information on the bills that they've received. And the bill would have details of officers, phone numbers, email addresses that they can contact, and a meeting can be arranged to go through the bills with them and the supporting documents.
And important to say, obviously, but important to say in this public meeting, leaseholders have a legal right to have all of that information on request, and that is the duty on all landlords to provide that information on request. What we're looking at here is going above and beyond the legal requirements to provide things proactively to people, which is, as we've said, a very sensible thing to aim to do. Amy.
To add to your question about the process, sometimes the process could be very, very complicated because it does involve several stages. The homeowner, we ask questions to the homeownership unit. The homeownership unit does not have the information, so it has to go to various departments in the housing department. Unfortunately, some of the information is not available, so they have to go back to the invoices and they have to go on the orders and if the works have been executed or not. And it cannot be solved in one go. It could go sometimes up to a year. We have situation that we followed about 3 or 4 years on a particular item. What is going to help this is that if the contractors would know that they are scrutinized, they would be much more careful about the information they provide. So it's going to be a huge advantage for Southwark for the contractors to know that they would be scrutinized.
Steph.
Let's just say if there is a meeting, I'm quite happy maybe some of the officers from the digital team could come along as well to explain the digital side of it.
Yeah. Well, can I just say then, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for the petition. I think it's a really, you set a really fair and important challenge to us and how we can move forward as a council. The arguments you set out that this is about helping us all achieve better value for the money that's going into these works is a fundamental one. As I say, we will work quickly to make changes for this autumn and the next round of bills, and we will work with you to put in place the thing you're fundamentally asking for in future. And in the meantime, we will set up the meeting with senior council officers to talk you through exactly how we will do both things. And you can continue to give your challenge to us to make sure that we're doing that in the speediest way and a way that's actually going to work for people who are resident in our homes. So thank you very much again for coming today.
Thank you so much for listening to us, and we promise they would be back and we will explain to you how it went. So we'll be around. Thank you so much. Have a holiday.
I'd just like to say thank you very much, and also to the constitutional team for their extreme help and professionalism. It was very helpful. I will see you all again shortly with something else. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm going to take us to item 9 on the agenda, which is the provision of new council homes at Jones Street. And Helena, you are leading this discussion for us.
Thank you very much. This is a really exciting report, I think, because it puts forward a solution to what has been quite a challenging situation over the last year and a half. We previously had proposals to build 25 council homes next to Styles House, the existing Styles House, in an arrangement with Transport for London, who were bringing forward an office scheme in the adjacent site. Unfortunately, back in 2023, we had to pause the new council homes at Styles House, primarily because of the fire regulations and the fact that the building wouldn't be able to accept a second staircase. at that time, TfL were also re-looking at their plans. So we've managed to negotiate what I think is a really great outcome in that it will deliver more council homes, 19 additional council homes than had previously been proposed, 44 new council homes coming forward, in a deal that essentially is brokered through our strong planning policies, which require affordable housing alongside any student accommodation, which is coming forward in the borough, which is not the norm in other local authorities. So as a result of that, we are able to get these new homes on site, and then we are able then to essentially purchase with the additional in lieu payment the council homes for Southwark. So I'm really pleased, out of what was a really difficult situation, we've come to a really excellent outcome. This was approved by Planning Committee last week now, unanimously. And so I'm really looking forward to this proceeding. There is more kind of detail about the kind of technical side of things, which is laid out in the report. I don't know if Steve or Neil want to add anything.
All I would say is that I think it is a great result for the authority. This will provide 44 new council homes and no capital cost to the authority. And the development also includes a community facility as well. And if you look at the unit mix as well, there's a greater proportion of family homes than our policy requirement. And that's a reflection of local housing need in the area.
Well, I think, again, it's fantastic progress on this. Really, really good to see. Also really important to put on record our whole Cabinet thanks to residents on the estate who worked very hard with us throughout this process to find space for new council homes on their estate. Are there any questions that people would like to ask about this paper? It's just a good news story. Some fantastic homes for people to live in. Excellent. Well, if there are no questions, can we agree the recommendations on this report, of which there are 4? Can we agree those recommendations? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to take us to item number 10, which is our town centre action plans for exciting work to invest and bring our town centres up to an even higher standard. And John, you're going to introduce this one.
Thank you, Kieran. Yeah, so the next agenda item is on our town centre action plans, and I've got Danny, Libby and Steve, who have all done really great work on this, and it's been a bit of a journey to get to this point. So, but ultimately, yeah, the action plans highlight the measures that will be delivered across our town centres where we've committed to delivering major improvements, which is a council delivery plan commitment. The town centres that we're talking about are Bermondsey, Camberwell, Canada Water, Elephant and Castle and Walworth and Peckham. It's also a Southwark 2030 goal to ensure our town centres thrive and serve our whole community. But I think we have to be honest and say that they are facing quite challenging times at the moment, not just here in Southwark, but across London and the country, with shopping habits moving online, businesses coming out of the COVID pandemic and the cost of living crisis. We've seen quite a lot of data recently which shows footfall across our town centres is going up, but custom is going down, so we know this is impacting businesses. These action plans have been designed with businesses, local people and users of the high street at their heart, and that's what they focus on. We know there's lots of initiatives taking place right across the council to improve our town centres and make them nicer places to be, and these action plans essentially act as a way to bring everything together in an easily accessible plan and document which we can present to the business community and local people who use the high street as a way to engage with them. So I did want to just place my thanks to Libby in particular for the work that she's done, because this is not just a local economy team piece of work. This has been a piece of work right across the council, and just making sure that all the departments and officers and everyone across the council has joined up in the delivery of these has been a really important piece of work. And so I wanted to place my thanks to Libby and the team. They have been just really important to say that they have been based on what businesses, local people and users of the high street have told us they want to see prioritised. And they have outlined the short, medium and long-term actions that we will be delivering, and really important that we'll be taking these out to the community, so lots of opportunities for people to engage in them. The report specifically outlines the process that we've been through in terms of assessing the applications that we had, shortlisting, just assessing all the information that we had back from businesses, and I think important to say that this is not the end of the journey. In terms of the work here, we again, the actions that we have in the plans are kind of short, medium and long term, so we'll be updating them to reflect what we've actually delivered, and we'll be updating the prototypes, the public-facing prototypes, to kind of reflect that what we've delivered and the priorities. So I think just to kind of finalise, finish from me before I ask Danny and Libby if they've got anything to add, is that this really is a genuine cross-council effort to put these together. They will evolve over time, but hopefully I'm confident that over time that people will see genuine improvements in their town centres, and so I ask for Cabinet to approve their adoption.
Thank you very much. Danny, Libby, Steve, is there anything you would like to add? No? I mean, fantastic to see, reading through them all, what's really striking is it's just all practical action that will make the town centres better, whether that's the big things, major public space refurbishments like Peckham Library Square, or some of the smaller things, tackling cleanliness, safety, other actions. It's all, it's very clearly practical action, so I would encourage anyone who's interested in our town centres to have a read through the ones for those town centres they're interested in. Any questions? Jasmine?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, really. I mean, it's not often when you have a cabinet report, which we obviously deal with a lot of business, but I got a chance to road test it last Thursday. I was in a meeting with local activists, so I basically downloaded it because it had been published for cabinet, and it went down really, really well. I mean, I'm a Rye Lane councillor, and as you know, it's like a bit of the borough where regeneration hits. Well, the station itself, it's gone from 4 million to 11 million going through that in just, the time I've lived there. So I just wanted to say that everyone was really positive about it and felt that having this town centre plan will help local activists and local people to get ahead of things, really, and help you guys to get ahead of things. So thank you. I mean, maybe if it works out well, we might have a statue of the cabinet member, and maybe Libby as well, outside the train station.
I think we'll pause that suggestion. Maybe we won't have one for you, Libby. But any other questions that people would like to ask on these? I also just want to thank cabinet members around the table, because I know Helen, with your work on planning and development, James on transport, Natasha on safety, Portia on leisure. This is a collective effort to get this work going. But thank you very much for your leadership on it, John, as well. If there are no other questions, I will take us to the recommendations, of which there is just one, to agree the plans. So can we agree that recommendation? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. Following neatly on from that, item 11, endorsement of the selected multi-art centre operator for the Bermondsey Blue, one of our town centres. John, back to you.
Thank you, Kieran. So I'm thrown by the statue comment a little bit, but another really exciting announcement, and one that's been in the kind of process and sort of pipeline for a little while now, and really excited to get to the point where we are. So this report asks for the approval of the panel selection for the successful applicant Bermondsey 223 to operate in the Blue on Southwark Park Road. This is a location right at the heart of the Blue marketplace in Bermondsey, and the proposal that we've reached, it will provide a cultural hub with the intention of increasing footfall to the area. So really kind of exciting to get to this point. This again is a council delivery plan commitment in terms of delivering a multi-art space to the area. And again, in the report, it outlines the process that we've been through in terms of assessing all the applications, the panel interviews that we've been through, and ultimately reaching the point where we are recommending the successful applicant. Again, wanted to the process that we've been through has been designed, and we've partnered really closely with the community on this. So we had ward councillor representation on the panel. We had a representation from Big Local Works and the BID. Blue BID were involved in this. Also had a representative from a community group, Thoroughgoods Community Group, on the panel, and I kind of wanted to place my thanks to Anthony and the community group for their involvement in the process so far, because, and I know Bermondsey 223, the applicant that we're recommending, feel very strongly about this, that without engaging with the community, then this won't be as successful as it can be. So their involvement to date has been really important, and we look forward to working really closely with them going forward. The actual offer that Bermondsey 223 are bringing forward is based around what a lot of feedback has told us the most accessible form of art, which is photography. They also have a really strong community and social value offer, an offer for affordable creative workspace, and a viable commercial offer as well. There will be some work going on in terms of the kind of building refurbishment over the next year. We are working really closely with the successful applicant to make sure that the space is refurbished in the right way, and it is ready and fit for purpose. And in that time, there will be lots of community outreach with the Thoroughgoods Community Group, but also local schools, tenants and residents associations. I know they are really keen to deliver that as well. And also really exciting opportunities to connect with other art forms in terms of music, dance, and look at how it connects to the Blue, the market as well, in the interim and when it opens. So we'll be working closely with them going forward. I know there's a lot of work to make sure we deliver this by spring 2026, which we've got a project plan to make sure that we do that. But we'll also be working on the development of a steering group to make sure that the social value offer really comes out. And again, I'll finish there and just see if officers have anything to add.
Would you like to add anything? It's very comprehensive, John. I think, and very exciting. And again, thank you for all the work on this. And I know it's not always easy to do these things, and this one hasn't been easy along some of the path. But doing such close work with the community and businesses to find the right offer, I think will make this a real strength for the work going forward. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of you, and to you as well, John, for steering this through and getting to this point. Helen.
Yeah, thank you very much. Obviously, this is an area which is undergoing a lot of change with the development of the biscuit factory just on the other side of the arches. And I know there's been a lot of conversation, which I've been part of as well, about how we can really kind of connect and integrate the offer at the Blue, make sure that this new offer, the photography offer, is something which can be enjoyed by new residents when they start moving in on the other side of the arches, and how it can complement rather than compete against anything which Greystar are bringing forward on that side. I just wondered if you could say a little bit more about how you see the area, I suppose, kind of connecting and really kind of the offers kind of complementing one another for the benefit of the community. Thanks.
I suppose there is firstly the physical connection between the Blue and the biscuit factory, and obviously we're speaking to the developers, and the legal requirement of the developers to create that physical access through the viaduct, and we're working on that at the moment to ensure that physical route between the Blue and the biscuit factory is delivered as soon as possible. There are some concerns about opening it too early could create some community safety issues, given that there's so much building going on at the moment and the site is effectively hoarded off. But that's active work, and we're pretty confident we'll open up that physical connection as soon as practical. I suppose the next one, is sort of economic and social connection between the Blue and the new biscuit factory. And all the way through the application of the biscuit factory, we were very conscious about ensuring that we didn't create a competing retail destination and very limited retail in the biscuit factory, and ideally, residents will shop in the blue rather on their new development. And also, there is a significant cultural offer coming forward on the biscuit factory. That hasn't been confirmed exactly what that will be at the moment. It will be in the old biscuit packing factory thing. I don't know how else, just big space. But we're working with Greystar, the developer, to ensure that any cultural offer on there is complementary to what we're offering at the Blue, and actually has some benefits to the local community and local residents, both old and new.
Portia.
Yeah, thank you, John, and for the team for working on this. I know it's been a long while coming, so congratulations. I'm also obviously happy to see the arts and culture spaces growing here in Southwark, as there is a high demand for that around here. Last October, I received a report from the Black Culture Conversation Steering Group, who basically put together asks for us at the council to meet/answer on and the basis of this report was to focus on the struggles that Black artists face while acquiring cultural spaces and having leadership representation in our cultural spaces, as well as having those spaces reflect our culture, that being African Caribbean heritage. With that in mind, John, I know I've spoken to you about this before, I just wanted to know from the officers, how will we ensure that we're addressing these issues in this new cultural facility?
So the report mentions the service level agreement that the operator is going to be answerable to. We're also going to be setting up a steering group that Councillor Batterson alluded to there, which will regularly review the outputs of the organisation operating the venue. And a big part of their service level obligations will be EDI, Equalities, Diversity and Inclusion, to make sure that they are serving fully an offer that serves equalities for the local people. So those are the provisions.
And just to follow up, can I check, because I think there was perhaps two sides to that, as Portia said it. There's the bit about who gets to go and view and be involved, and there's who gets to be the artists presenting and having the opportunity to display and be part of the work. Does the service level agreement cover both of those things?
Yes, it will.
Very good to hear. And I think if we could do some follow-up work with Portia just to make sure she has the chance to see a bit more of the detail of not just the service agreement but the actual plans that are coming forwards to do that.
Yeah, certainly happy to share that.
John.
I think, yeah, just to follow up on Catherine's point there, that the service level agreement that we'll sort of finalise shortly we can make sure it reflects those points. But the other bit is around the creative workspace that will be on the top floor as well, and making sure that that's accessible to underrepresented groups within the arts and creative space is really important as well. So there's almost kind of three elements: who's going, who gets to showcase their art, and who's working there. And I think we can make sure that it's properly drawn out in those three elements. Yeah.
Very important. Okay. Just a bit of feedback on the microphones there. Okay. Well, look, thank you very much again for the work on all of this. We look forward to an opening date in about a year's time, and coming down and seeing those artists displaying their work and representing our borough. So thank you again for that. Can we agree the recommendations on this? This one is a closed report. So as I said at the beginning, whilst we've discussed it now, the final discussions will happen in closed session. And for anyone who missed the beginning, that's because in here are some confidential information about the amount that the council is willing to financially enter into in this agreement. We don't want the provider to know that until we have agreed it with them. Yep. Okay. In that case, we'll come back to that later on. Thank you very much. Okay, the next session, again, in a related note, is our endorsing the selected operator for our Southwark LGBTQ+ cultural centre, something we've been working hard to deliver for some time, and we're very excited to have a proposal on who that operator is. And Helen, this is yours.
Thank you very much. Yes, not dissimilar from the last item, and another one which is really exciting to see moving forward. So this is a long-standing council delivery plan commitment to secure an LGBTQ+ cultural centre at Bankside Yards, following the closure of the XXL Club and the commitment that we made at that time when Native Land were bringing forward the new development, that we would secure that space. So there has been quite a rigorous selection process looking at who we can partner with, and I'm really pleased that this report now recommends the selection of Chroma, who are a subsidiary of the Trampery Foundation, to be the partner. They'll be bringing forward workspace here at the Arches alongside a theatre and cultural offer, and they've also linked in already pretty well with the LGBTQ+ centre at Hopton Street, which the council has supported to go in at the kind of base of Falcon Point to really kind of work with the LGBTQ+ community in Southwark and indeed across London, because I think a lot of people come to that space. So a really kind of holistic offer, which we're really excited to support. A couple of months ago, we already committed £1.5 million in strategic SIL to help with the fit out of this space. It really is an amazing space under the arches there, but does require quite a lot of investment to bring it to use. So that has already been approved, and this report will enable us to kind of release the monies so that they can make a good start on getting that all ready to be fit out and to be enjoyed. I suppose the other thing just to add, as with the multi-arts operator at the Blue, there will be a steering group and a service level agreement which is established to ensure that we are kind of maximising social value from this project, to ensure that the community stays involved. I wasn't actually involved in the selection process, so I don't know if Councillor Cryan, who was, wants also to say a few words on it.
Too, and like Councillor Dennis, I think this is really exciting that it's coming forward. So I did sit on the steering panel, and we went out to tender for expressions of interest and tenders to run the centre. I think the first batch of tenders we got back, I think didn't quite meet the criteria, in the fact that there would have had to be a lot of investment and support around that, so we went back out to tender. We had two organisations, Trampery and a CIC, and from that we felt as a panel that Trampery were probably the best place to be able to deliver what we need for our LGBTQ+ communities, but also with a mind to the fact that this will be a London-wide centre as well. It is state-of-the-art. It really is sort of a placemaker for the LGBTQ+ community on that as well. So it sort of knocked us back a little bit in terms of timing, but I think we did the right thing, and we've got them, we've got the right operator for this now.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just add, I suppose, one of the unique features of this is this operating model, which doesn't rely on ticket sales for the operation of the theatre and cultural offer, which means that they can be more creative with their cultural offer, which would be directed through the steering group. So the steering group will have some influence in the cultural offer. And I think one of the key elements as well, this isn't a meanwhile project, this is a long-term project, a long-term lease in place. And therefore we're very conscious to select an organisation with the skills and commercial skills to make a sustainable business model, so this can operate in the long term without, grant and support from the council.
Thanks very much. And having been in the space, not fitted out yet, but having been in it, I can also vouch for it as a big and fantastic space. And as a borough that so proudly has one of the biggest LGBTQ+ communities in Europe, I'm very proud that we're able to do this to serve not just our community actually, but the whole of our city and indeed wider country, and I'm sure we'll have people coming from across the world as well. So it's a genuinely exciting thing to be doing. I'm really glad we've managed to get there. And again, I really look forward to the opening and going down and seeing it in its full glory. So with all of that said, can we agree? No, we're back doing this one in closed session again, so we're not going to agree it. We'll come back to it in closed session. So I will take us on to the next item, which is item 13, which is the procurement strategy for adults home care. Yes, so adults home care and children's home care and reablement.
Yeah, so this report is about adult children home care services and reablement. So I'm really excited to also present this report to you, which is asking Cabinet to approve the proposal to strategically commission adults, children, as well as reablement via a competitive tender process. You would have recorded we've come to Cabinet to request extensions of various contracts, and that's to enable us to align the recommission and also to undertake an extensive consultation process, which you will see in Appendix 1. I am really excited the fact that we are able to work with our communities to redesign innovative services that better support residents now and in the future. We want to really future-proof the services that we have, and it's about co-production. So, you know, a lot of work has gone into it, so I need to thank officers for their work, and I just want a big shout-out to Southwark Pensioners Action Group, who have been spearheading a lot of these discussions, and they've been really involved in shaping what we provide now. We also did a number of benchmarking with other local authorities to see what is happening around there and see what, you know, whether we can nick any of the great ideas. So well done for all the work you're doing. Just to say, also, providers will be expected to continue to comply with the Ethical Care Charter. So this is something that we are not dropping the ball on. I just want to say, I mean, with regards to the consultation, what has come out through the vision, and again, as I say, it's a co-production with residents. For adults home care, residents want a reliable, high-quality, person-centered service that celebrates difference. And I think we've always talked about making sure that we recognize the communities that we have in Southwark. And we have varied groups, and we want to make sure that we provide them also in all walks of life. For the children, the vision is to support children and young people to have fun, follow their interests, and learn skills to be part of the community. For reablement, it's about motivating residents to achieve their goals for independence and living well. So this is some of the vision that's coming out through the consultation. Further engagements with residents is planned, and we'll be testing the vision with them. So this is not the end of it. We are still going to go back and say, okay, this is what you've told us, you know, this is how we're going to take it forward. So thank you for all the work you've done. If there's anything you would like to say.
Thank you. Just a few brief comments, if I may. So there was a lot of interest in these contracts. The profit margins are not that big. We've had auditors look at our social care contracts, and profit margins are between 3% and 5%. So although the contracts are over several years and quite a lot of money, the providers make quite modest profits. But the reason why we have so much interest in Southwark is because of our ethical care charter. It's not just the standard ethical care charter, and the few boroughs that have been brave enough to do that, it's gone further. And what we've seen that do is transform the experience of people who are cared for and people who work in home care. Satisfaction rates have gone from the low 50s to the mid 90s and being sustained there over the years. But what's really interesting is what I thought would happen has happened, which means the hourly rates that we pay not only cover London living wage, travel time, so there's no clipping between visits, and training for staff and uniforms and sick pay and all the things that we would expect to see. But that price point has landed at the upper end, but not the highest in London. So there are other boroughs across London that are paying more per hour, where the staff are not being paid London living wage, are not being paid travel time. So this demonstrates a genuine collaboration between the providers, skillful work by Claire and colleagues in integrated commissioning, to make sure that actually, as the years go by, we push for the ethical care charter to become embedded in the culture of those services, and the feedback we get from residents is excellent. The retention levels for staff is really high, which means continuity of care. So that's so important. We're talking about older people with dementia, we're talking about older people with complex needs, we're talking about children with disabilities. So that continuity of care is a really positive byproduct of our ethical care charter. But we're actually getting good value for money too. We're not paying top dollar, we're paying a fair price for a really, really good service. So I'm so pleased that the administration have introduced the ethical care charter, and have supported over the years. And the feedback from our residents, feedback from staff working across the sector, is that they feel valued, And our auditors also showed their analysis that most people working in home care are local residents, travelling around the borough by bus or by bike. So, you know, this helps us on a number of fronts. But really, really great to see such strong interest. And again, I'll just finish by saying thanks to colleagues in commissioning, because this is a very complex process to go through with CQC registration, a lot of contract monitoring, a lot of feedback, and then to have a lot of interest. So I'm really pleased with the work. The last point I would say just refers to one of the later recommendations when we come to it later, which is that you'll be aware of some discussions across Partnership Southwark around integrated neighbourhood teams. So we've made provision in one of the recommendations that as that work progresses, we will seek to at least align and if possible integrate the adults home care services in with the NHS and CVS provision across our borough. So we're future-proofing it, although it's a multi-year contract, we're future-proofing it for the developments in that space which we're actively engaging in. Thank you.
Can I just say, with regards to the integrated model, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Darren, because he's been working tirelessly on this. So he's been doing great work to make sure that we are aligned and future-proofing the work and the services that we have.
Thank you. Jasmine? No, just...
Yes, I just wanted to say, obviously, thanks to everyone, that all age disabilities does come under Evelyn. So thank you for all your work. As children's champion, I did want to say, you know, that we're supporting from, you know, children from 0 to 17. And this includes children with learning disabilities, with autism, children with disabilities. And, you know, the service, as you said, helps to develop skills, access to the community, and for children to have fun. I mean, I just wanted to say that we've gone from, since the service was commissioned in 2021, is that right? It's gone from 44 children to 150 children. So that's quite a big shift. And we know, don't we? I really wanted to make the point, really, that we know that outcomes for any children with special education needs and disability nationally have been mixed. But here in Southwark, you know, we're absolutely committed to making children with special education needs and disabilities a priority. It's good to see, you know, you and Darren, you know, obviously you've mentioned in the audience. Really, you know, we're happy with the service, and we're really happy that we're monitoring it to make sure that the outcomes for, you know, those, 150 children are monitored so that the outcomes can be as positive as possible. So thank you for all the work that's gone into it. Thank you.
Steph.
Thank you. First of all, this was really good, and it's really good to see that we're aligned all of contracts now, so it makes sense that those extensions were there for a reason, not just to extend them, so we're there. And so the question I'm going to ask is, obviously, this engagement started quite a while ago, and since then, we've seen the increase in national insurance contributions, and we know that from the healthcare sector, that has a real impact because, you know, a large proportion of costs for the healthcare sector is staffing costs. Are we confident that we will still see the right level of interest in this based on that increase in national insurance contributions, and are we doing anything to sort of support that? I know, for example, in our budget, we're looking at the, you know, we're putting some of that increase in adult care support into that. Will that roll over onto this?
So you're quite right, Councillor Cryan. The national insurance changes will have some impact. Not quite as big an impact as in some other areas, because the salaries are pretty modest in this space, so it's relative, but it will catch some new people in for employer contributions. So the government have provided some support to social care. About 2/3 of the additional cost that will arise from the national insurance changes are being funded, and so it's 1/3 that we need to fund between us and the providers, and you know, we will cover that. We've had some experience in recent years because the London living wage increases have been much higher than were originally forecast, more like 10% for the last couple of years. So we have underwritten those costs, and that's a really helpful aspect of these contracts with providers. They know whatever the Mayor announces, we will honour that, we will underwrite that. I think it's about netting and mitigating where we can. So very high quality care, and the reablement aspect in this is absolutely smashing it. more than 85% of residents who go through a reablement have no ongoing care needs, or less ongoing care needs than they had before their episode that put them in hospital on the up to 6 weeks care. So, to put it frankly, that's really good for folk, but it's also saving us money. So, as long as we continue to do really well on reablement, as long as we continue to get really good care outcomes, we are mitigating some of the pressures in terms of hours and double-handed care. But there is a pressure in there that we'll navigate over the next couple of years, and I think it will settle. The providers in this space go for low profit margin over a longer period of time and by volume. So we're very well cited on their accounts, and the 2/3 support from government is helpful to mitigate it. So we've a little gap to bridge, but I'm confident we can.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions, so I just want to add my thanks for all the work on this. Really extensive. I know how long it takes to work through all these processes. So Claire, particularly to you, and please pass it on to all of your team. A huge thank you for all of the work on it. Again, this is an item we're going to take in closed session for the final decision for the same reasons about some of the commercially confidential information in the full papers. But our thanks for all the work that's happened on it up to now. Now, I'm conscious we have the esteemed company of our Chair of Overview and Scrutiny with us today for one item. So Ian, I'm going to bring your item up now rather than make you sit through the rest of the meeting. And then we will go to that one, which is, what number is it on the agenda? I should have looked at that first, shouldn't I? Here we are. Item number 16, report from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, recommendations arising from scrutiny of Consort Estate Major Works, SE15, charges to leaseholders.
Thank you, Chair. I was looking forward to listening to the rest of the meeting, but there we are. And,
a very good meeting, wasn't it?
Absolutely. All this good news. And can I say, congratulate you on the surrounds. This is a very suitable hall for holding cabinet meetings, and I hope you'll continue to do so in the future. I just wanted to start, obviously, that you've already heard today from leaseholders in terms of service charges. Obviously, this report concerns more the charges over major works which are going on across the borough, as you know. And you know, for as long as I've been a member of the council, I'm sure leaseholder charges of one sort or another have always been in the eyes of not just cabinet members, but all members of the council. And it's obviously something that we do take very seriously, and I was very pleased to hear what you said before, Chair, in relation to the mitigation of that and how we're going to progress with those issues in the future. But specifically, we had residents from the Consort Estate in Peckham attended the Overview and Scrutiny Committee on the 4th of November, and they were very well supported by their ward councillors in relation to the issues that they raised. In essence, they were concerned about the use of provisional sums, what they deemed to be unnecessary works as part of the overall major works packages, the length and the overall costs of those works, and because they regard estimates as not being value for money. There was also a overall feeling of a lack of confidence, if I could put it that way, in the council's ability to perform effective quality assurance and overseeing the works as a whole. So in response to those concerns, the Overview and Scrutiny Committee agreed the recommendations that are before you today to strengthen in-house quality surveyor function, to change the way that admin fees are calculated, to review and strengthen communications across departmental working, and to improve the overall performance of the ownership team. It's also to include this option of repayment over 6 months, to remove contractors' car parking charges from the bills. This was a particular concern of many members of the OS committee as being an unnecessary burden on leaseholders. To pilot the working with solicitors and estate agents to improve greater clarity on future costs, to strengthen whistleblowing across the council. Obviously, that's a more general issue, not specific to leaseholder charges as such. So I was also very pleased, obviously, that the relevant cabinet member and strategic director were present, and they dealt with a lot of these issues at the time. And I know that today, really, this report is just for your notification, and we'll welcome the future report from the cabinet member and the strategic director once they've had the opportunity to consider the report in full, Chair. So thank you.
Well, can I say a few big thank you to you and the whole Overview and Scrutiny Committee. I mean, they are very practical, specific recommendations and really show the quality, value and importance of having such a strong scrutiny function as we do in the borough. I will actually invite up Hakeem as our director. As you say, Ian, we will be bringing back a full report here to respond to all of those recommendations and how we can progress them. But given how much work we're already doing on this, I thought it might be helpful just to get Hakeem to say a few headlines about the things that are already happening in response to this area, because it is really important and something that I and Councillor Sarah King, the cabinet member, unfortunately she's unable to be at this meeting due to a long-standing previous commitment, but are absolutely determined to work with the whole council and our residents, tenants and leaseholders to really transform these services so they deliver better. But Hakeem, if you'd like to give a little overview.
Thank you, Leader. I wanted to extend my thanks to Overview and Scrutiny Committee as well for giving residents an opportunity to air their views and for officers to be able to respond. So far, we have made a number of changes as a result of the committee hearing. And this include ensuring that we will do extensive site surveys of all works before committing to contractors, because this means that this will reduce the amount of provisional sums that the contractors will include in their bills. Where provisional sums are included, because they're inevitable sometimes, we will make sure that there's a full explanation as to why, and we will monitor them with residents to conclusion so that there will be no surprises in the end at all. We've put measures in place to ensure that the works are delivered on time, because in previous years there's been costs relating to extension of time. So we're ensuring, tighter monitoring of contractors, and where there's going to be an extension of time, residents will be fully informed of that. I think what I should say generally is that there's going to be, closer working relationship between officers and residents all throughout, from the beginning, before the works are committed to, during the works, and after, so that there will be no issue of surprises to residents at all. I just want to say that Councillor Wingfield would know that this has been done on consult estate. So the issues I'm mentioning here are not just for the future; they are already happening as we speak.
Well, thank you for that update. As I said, that really helpful to have that flavour of where we go and actions that are already happening following those discussions, the views there from residents and the work of Overview and Scrutiny. But we will bring forward a full report setting out responses to all of the recommendations. Jasmine.
Yes, I mean, I just wanted to say a couple of words, if that's all right, because Consort is, it's in my ward. I just wanted to extend what Kieran had said. Thank you so much for the scrutiny. I mean, what a great, opportunity to have a deep dive. And these issues have been going on for some time now. So, I think I've met personally quite a few people in my surgeries on this. But I wanted to say, also a big thanks to Councillor Dobson, really, because she was quite tenacious with this, and I think that's really helped, you know, well, helped, and also to Councillor King, who obviously can't be here today, but, you know, she's been so responsive since in post, you know, coming back in real time with these issues, and that's what it's needed, really, because it's caused such a lot of heartache. You know, people need responses, like, in real time, and the fact that, you know, this report's going to help, you know, us get ahead of it, and them get ahead of it, you know, I can't thank you enough, really.
Chair, if I may, I wholeheartedly agree with what Councillor Ali's just said, and just coming back to the Director's comments, and I appreciate what's been done since the 4th of November, and I know it's ongoing work, and you know, we liaise very closely with the Director and with the Cabinet member. But yeah, there are things here which are not just specific to Consulate Estate, they can be extrapolated all over the boroughs. So, and you know, we've had issues in relation to Canada Estate and Devon Mansions, which have come before OSC as well, and we're due to have that report in due course. So yes, it's a very topical issue, and it's a very critical issue that we all face across the borough, and it needs to be dealt with. And I'm very pleased with the work that's been done to date, and I'm sure it will progress in that fashion. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and absolutely this is about improving the whole service for everyone in all of our homes across the whole borough, whether it's here on the Kingswood or on the Conswell or wherever else you might be. So thank you very much for the report again, and I do just want to underline these are very practical, meaningful for residents' lives recommendations, and they really show the value of that very effective scrutiny function we have. So thank you for your work on that, and thank you to the whole committee. So on this item, there are just two recommendations in here, if we could agree those, but they effectively say we will bring back the full report. So agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. So I'll take us back up the agenda. Where had we got to? We were at FlexiCare, yes? Yes. So item 14, Gateway to FlexiCare Services. Evelyn, would you like to introduce that one?
Yeah, thank you. And this report is asking Cabinet to approve the contract award for 4 FlexiCare schemes in Southwark, which is detailed in paragraph 2. So Southwark is implementing the FlexiCare housing, which I think is the future, and is a great opportunity. And the housing is designed for older people and adults with disability, and it allows them to live independently with adaptable support. FlexiCare, I would say, provides more support than sheltered housing and more independence than a residential care home. It allows residents to live in their own home, but also have care available if and when they need it. So you can grow in place regardless of your needs, and I think this is definitely the way forward. The initiative will also include a community coordinator, which will be employed by the council, and they will be employed to make sure that residents are, you know, engaging in the community and are basically, you know, being sociable, and just to boost social inclusion within these homes. So I just want to again thank you for this piece of work, and just to say, our Deputy Cabinet member, Councillor Dalton, is also looking at the future of housing for older people in Southwark, and so this is an ongoing piece of work, because we know that the growth or the kind of age in Southwark, people are growing older, living longer, but will need more help in older age. So we are having to look at what we need in the future. So this piece of work is also being done alongside all the work that we are doing. And hand over to you.
Thank you. So again, this is something we can be very proud of in Southwark, because the growth in flexi-care housing is responding to our ageing population and helping people to have their own front door, have their own privacy and dignity, but to live in community and to have care on site 24/7. So in most boroughs, these schemes are called extra care housing, but residents have told us that extra care sounds like high dependency or high needs, and that doesn't really reflect their needs. So we call it flexi care because the contract will allow us to up the care to an individual or to decrease it. And something quite remarkable happens in flexi care. For example, with Harriet Hardy that's coming up, we've got a full list of residents ready to move in. And when we look at their current packages of care, when they move into Harriet Hardy, their packages of care will shrink. something happens when people come together in community in a new home that's really well adapted, with a new bathroom and a new kitchen. And living in community gives people a reason to get up in the morning and brush their hair and put a bit of lippy on and come down and speak to their neighbours and bake cakes for each other. And, you know, they just re-energise. So what's really interesting for us is when we look at the profile of people beforehand, and then when they go in, people get better living in community. People get better living in really good environment. And I'm particularly pleased to see that in Southwark, as well as the council schemes and these contracts. There's a history in the borough of almshouses. And of course, as you'll know, the almshouses providers are also moving in this direction with incredible schemes. So they also see it as the future of accommodation for older people with care on site. The feedback we get from residents is that they absolutely love it. And I think with this level of schemes now and the offer, we should start to see more older people moving out of council accommodation that perhaps they were under-occupying now because of changes in family and bereavements, into these homes that are fit for purpose and freeing up more council homes for families and others who need them too. So there's a sweet point in this offer where the capacity and the choice is good enough from us and the almshouses organisations, the charities, that we can keep that flow going. So we've got really, really great schemes. The housing is supported and provided by housing colleagues within the council, and then the care is what we commission. And just finally, to kind of just bring to life that model, so in flexi-care, most of the people living there will need care, a typical care package of between 7 and 14 hours. But there are some people who will live there who don't need care, and this is future-proofing for them. There'll be older people on their own, and this is tackling loneliness and isolation, and also future-proofing for them should they need care. And we do that by design to keep those communities vibrant and alive. So I know many of you have been to visit schemes in your wards and across the borough, our schemes and charity schemes. You know, again, we've gone through a good process. I'm grateful to Claire and the team for going through a very thorough process to come up with the providers to take us forward for the next few years. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much. And really hearing what it means for people in their homes, and not just getting the care they need, but having a place that allows them to actually improve their well-being is fantastic to hear. Even.
I just want to add that, and I want to thank David and the team, yourself, Claire, that in adult social care, we want to future-proof our services. We want people to stay in Southwark, born, grow, work, and, stay in your old age. And we want every kind of category to be able to, live their best lives in Southwark. So everything that we're doing, it is about co-production. It is about speaking to our residents to understand what they need. But again, I think that word future-proof is going to be very important. We know 2030 is, around the corner, and things are going to change. So for us, providing for our older communities and making sure that they are able to get the services that they need to live as independently and as well as for as long as possible is our aim. So again, thank you for this aspiration and working with me on this.
And Helen.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks so much for setting out how it works, and also the interaction with council housing as well, because as you said, this will free up more council homes in the Peckham area, on the Aylesbury estate and beyond, for people who are on our housing waiting list, which is a really positive thing, whilst also offering appropriate care for people at that stage in their life as they're growing older. We've got, as you mentioned, the new purpose-built facility on the Aylesbury estate, which has been a really core part of the first development site, Harriet Hardy House, which I had the opportunity to go and visit. So as you said, it's kind of self-contained homes for people, but at the same time with communal facilities, the garden area. So it will be really exciting for people moving in there, and then also into Teositu House, the extension there in Peckham. So affordable housing for our residents in both of those locations. I just wonder if you could just let us know when it's likely that residents will be moving in now to those 2 new locations which we've brought forward. Thank you.
So we expect residents to move into Harriet Hardy House over the next couple of months, because we have the full list of residents selected to move in, and the care provider lined up. So from social care perspective, we can move people in over the next couple of months, so they're in well in advance of the summer and settling into new homes. And with the other schemes, I think we're at a point now for some of the older schemes as well where there's a bit of turnaround. So there are some people who want to move between schemes, which is also great, friendship groups. And so the extra capacity is allowing us to do a little bit of that as well, where people can move between schemes and then new people move into refurbished homes. So thank you.
Thank you much. I see no further questions on this one. So again, I want to say a huge thank you for the work. This is another item that we're taking closed session, I think, is it not? Yes, it is. Yes. I don't think we've ever had this many on one agenda. One agenda before. There's normally maybe one, sometimes two. So thank you again, and please do pass on the work to the whole team, both those doing the commissioning and actually all those who are out on the front line as well. So thank you very much. The next item is item 15, and that is the Ledbury Estate Compulsory Purchase Order. Helen, I think you're introducing this one.
Yes, thank you very much. And Hamali and Hakeem are here as well. So this is the final approval that is required for us to move forward with the CPO process that would enable phase 2 delivery of the Ledbury Estate renewal. So the whole scheme will be delivering 340 new homes for residents, including at least additional 51 council homes. That's in addition to the replacement homes. And phase 2 will be delivering 260 homes for residents. Obviously a really exciting scheme which had very strong support from residents in their estate ballot. And very exciting that on phase 1 we're nearing topping out, and that is really progressing well. As with all of these schemes, we don't want to have to move to use compulsory purchase order powers, and indeed phase 1 we were able to negotiate fully with leaseholders in order to secure them places to move into. Our hope is that with the remaining 14 outstanding leasehold interests in relation to phase 2, we will be able to continue those negotiations and that we won't need the CPO. But obviously we do need to put this in place in the eventuality that we aren't able to reach agreement with those remaining leaseholders. So this report will approve that process in terms of moving forward. Hamali and Hakeem might want to say a bit more about where we're at.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. I mean, just to add that you know, the existing homes in Ledbury have been homes to many households for many years. However, you know, due to current building safety requirements are no longer as safe as they used to be. And this is an exciting opportunity to build new, modern, safe homes for people to occupy. And with an increase in the number of social homes available on the same estate. As Councillor Dennis has said, we're in good communications with leaseholders on the estate, and it is our hope that we won't have to use, you know, the powers within this report. But this is a backstop, you know, to ensure that, you know, we have vacant possession at the time that we need to have it.
Thank you very much for the report. I think it's obviously important to say again with this item that for those leaseholders who are residents on the estate, there is options to return and have a home if that's what they want to do, or to have market rate compensation for their home if that's what they would rather do. And for those residents who are not living on the estate but are landlords, there is the market rate compensation for their home. So you know, we are making sure that people have a fair settlement for them, and that for the residents on the estate who are leaseholders, there's a real choice of what they want to do, and if they want to stay on the estate, they absolutely can. Is there any other questions that people would like to ask about this one? No? Again, this is, I think, the last paper we will be taking in closed session, but thank you very much for the reports on it, and we will come back to it a little later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is that the last one? Is it, actually? 'Cause the other one was the. Yep. So that is in fact the last item on the agenda today. So I just want to say thank you very much for everyone who's attended or watched today, and thank you very much to cabinet members and all officers who've been involved in. Oh. Got an alarm going off my phone. I don't know why that is. Telling me it's time to finish the meeting. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you next time.